Gumball page. And here we go. We're back live on Gumball Head. Sorry about that. Technical difficulty. Lost the video. We were just talking about Columbine and how we're desensitized to that. So now here's something else that's really good to take note in. If we look back in the mid 80s, Frank Zappa and Dee Snider went up to bat against Tipper Gore in the courts regarding the parental advisory labels that were placed on records at the time. Now, we look at it as this: people want to be able to use profanity and stuff like that on these albums, okay? But when Dee Snider and Frank Zappa went in, it wasn't their intention to be able to say the excluded 7 on their albums. It was so that they could actually express themselves freely as artists. Now, let's look at gangster rap, okay? And I made a post yesterday that was sarcastic. I tried to delete it. I don't know if it came off the Gumball page, but I did say gangster rap made me do it. And I've heard that term multiple times. And multiple cultures involved in music. I love music regardless. So, but gangster rap made me do it. Now, when we talk about that Columbine, we're also looking at, they investigated Marilyn Manson because the kids stated that Marilyn Manson was the reason why they created these murders, and it's not true. It was PTSD based. It was something deep down, farther deep down, but they heard a song that motivated them to actually commit these murders. I listen to music all of the time, all day long at work. Music does change our attitudes. Music does change our mindsets. If I want to chill out and relax, I'll listen to Fish. I'll listen to the Grateful Dead. I'll listen to Dave Matthews. I'll listen to John Mayer. A lot of people hate John Mayer. I don't know why. I'll listen to Nickelback. Yeah, I said it. Okay, they're edgy. If I'm having a crappy day, if I'm anxious or angry about something, I'll listen to I Prevail. I'll listen to Megadeth. I'll listen to Slayer. But those bands don't make me want to punch things. There's a song by hate called "Destroy Everything," and the lyrics are very simple: destroy everything. But the song motivates me, but it doesn't motivate me to smash printers on my floor or punch holes in my walls or go out and kick the dog or anything like that. Okay, so the music doesn't influence me. So when we utilize music as a angle of argument, it's not fair to the music industry. It's not fair to the artists. It's not fair to their underlying intention of expressing themselves through music any more than these broadcasts that I'm doing here. My dad said, I was 7 or 8 or 10, maybe. We were indoors shooting at a shooting range, and the news was there, and they were talking to my dad, and they interviewed him. And one of the things I still have the VHS tape, believe it or not, somewhere in the house. But when they interviewed my dad, and they were like, aren't you afraid of, you're teaching your son to be a killer or something like that? I've never shot anything in my life, aside from animals, beer cans. But my dad said no. And they were like, aren't you afraid of guns being accepted and violence being created because of that? And my dad's like, no, you have a much higher chance of being hit from a bowling ball being dropped off an overpass than you do by being victim to gun violence. Unfortunately, that shit's changed. It's not that way anymore. Gun violence is everywhere. Why? Because it's easy access to guns. Now, I'm a strong advocate for guns. I do believe in the right to bear arms. I do think that responsible people should own guns, but not all people should own guns, and not all responsible people should own guns, and not all gun owners are responsible. Not all gun owners are intelligent when it comes to firearms. Okay? So music didn't cause these people to commit these crimes. Their underlying medical conditions did. Their underlying undiagnosed medical conditions did. Now, social media influence, again, back on this tangent. We're all watching this video on social media, on Facebook. Eventually it'll be on the web page if I can figure out how to do it. They took away my embedding rights, but social media, how easy is it to commit violence now with cell phones? Holy crap. 2 kids are bickering in a classroom. Okay, Johnny and Jimmy. And Johnny and Jimmy are getting into an argument. And Jimmy doesn't like something Johnny says, and Johnny starts using, slurs and negative conversation against Jimmy. Jimmy doesn't like it, so Jimmy texts 5 of his friends sitting in the classroom. Johnny walks out the classroom door. Jimmy is still in the classroom, and Johnny gets his ass beat by those 5 friends that Jimmy just sent a text message to. It's that quick. Simple, quick, efficient, and it happens. It happens every single day. Same thing with rape. Same thing with domestic violence. Same thing with stalking. So we can't be blinded to that. We have to be aware of that. It happens. It happens everywhere. And it's easy, and it's accessible, and it's quick. So I'm going to go back to music for a real quick moment here because it ties into video games, which I'm going to fight the shit out of this one. We're desensitized in music due to exposure. Okay, so when I was talking about Zappa and Snyder, Two Live Crew also felt that to be a victory, and they came out with some very undesirable music after that happened. But it's music, and I appreciate the music as artists. I don't have to like the content that's on those cassette tapes or on those CDs or those MP3s or the WAV files or whatever. I don't have to like that content, but I do have to appreciate and respect the fact that these are artists expressing themselves under the Second Amendment right, or under the freedom of speech. Okay. So watch a rap video. You'll see boobies everywhere. And you'll see scantily clad women, and they're throwing around money, and gangster rappers throwing around drugs and guns and shit like that. But guess what? 90% of those fuckers never shot anybody or sold drugs. They might have sold drugs. But chances are, if they're selling drugs right now, they shouldn't be rapping about it, because once they get raided, there's nothing they can do. But who needs to sell drugs when you're making millions of dollars off the people that are buying your songs on iTunes? I mean, really, come on. So let's tie this into video games now. I am a Call of Duty player. I'm not a big fan of Call of Duty. Let me put that side note there. I prefer Battlefield. Battlefield is more realistic to me. They don't have the cartoony shit. They don't have they don't have the same things that Call of Duty has. Battlefield is more realistic. You get a gun, you get a knife, you get a pistol, you get a grenade. Boom, run around, kill people. Okay. I've been playing video games since Tecmo Super Bowl. I've been playing video games since RC Pro-Am. I've been playing video games, since Mario, since Donkey Kong, since Dig Dug. I've been playing them throughout the evolution. I had an Atari. I had a Commodore. I had a Nintendo. I had every gaming system under the sun. And I still have yet to blame any thought process that I have on violence. To blame any of my thought process on the video games that I play. So again, we have to understand, I don't care who's going to argue this with me, but you have to understand it has nothing to do with the content that we're exposed to. It has to do with our underlying medical conditions, mental health conditions. My son has been playing Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, maybe this makes me a terrible parent, but my son has been playing Grand Theft Auto for many, many years, and he still hasn't raped, pillaged, or robbed a liquor store. He's got one tattoo, but that was after many years of his consideration of what he actually wanted to do. Okay, he thought about it for many years, and his mind didn't change. So yes, you can get a tattoo now before you're 18 years old because your mind hasn't changed. You've been dead set on this, and I approve of this. I'm not going to tell anybody, no, you can't get tattoos, for crying out loud. I mean, come on. Tattoos are another expression of art. None of my tattoos are violent. Well, one of them is, but it's not for the intention of being violent. So in those video games, we as parents spend less time in the home now, so we have less time to monitor what our children are doing in the home. Okay, so we can't sit there and monitor the kids that are 8 years old playing Grand Theft Auto. Okay, so I can argue on the congressional side of things of, yeah, maybe they do play a key role in that. There was a video game back in the day called Postal where your job was to kill people as a post office delivery person. And you went into offices and you killed people with things like a rabbit fart gun and staple gun and stuff like that. Okay, yes, they're violent video games, but if we as parents do our job and educate the children on the reality and in the fantasy aspect of things, then chances are those kids aren't going to grow up to be mass murderers, right? Okay, Treat the mental illness. Don't make blame on anything. I said it last week that an astounding percentage of in the 70s, 80s maybe, of people that commit suicide had contact with medical health care within 48 hours of actually committing the act of self, taking their own lives. The same thing happens with those people that create these mass murders. Okay. And it's not necessarily like they went into a hospital and said, I need help. It was contacting somebody to get a prescription refilled. Why? Why? I get it, let's not over abuse Prozac and Xanax and stuff like that. But some people need more shit than just one pill a day. I'm just saying, they need more help. If we look at TV, as I was saying earlier about The Price is Right, sorry, I kind of went off on a whole other tangent. But if we look at The Price is Right, we're not going to see violence on The Price is Right, but watch what happens on the commercials that happen in between, takes on The Price is Right. You might see violence. You might see a broadcast for a new video game. You might see football. Football is an extremely violent sport. So is hockey, and baseball can be. Soccer, rugby, those are all violent sports. But if we look at things during like the Super Bowl, that Super Bowl Sunday is the highest domestic abuse rated televised event in America. Did anybody know that? Yeah, you didn't. Stanley Cup playoffs have nothing to do. That's usually 5 to 7 games. But the Super Bowl, there's a higher rate of recorded domestic violence during the Super Bowl than any other televised event per year. If I'm wrong, please feel free to add it in the comments down below and correct me, and I will address that appropriately. But the last I knew, that was the highest televised event for documented domestic abuse. So, violence is not a learned behavior. It's not, we learn it. Yes, we learn it from watching video games and rap videos, but there's more to it. You can't just blame rap videos and video games on our decision to do domestic violence or do violence in general. It is the raising of our children. And as I was saying, we spend less time in the homes as parents, have to work 60 hours a week to make ends meet, 80 hours a week to make ends meet, 2 and 3 jobs. Yeah, our economy is fucking hopping right now. That's fantastic. It's great. A lot of us are making more money. Trade schools and trades are paying way more than the college education like I'm going to right now. I'm not ever going to make as much money doing what I want to do in life as I would in trade school, but I'm happy doing what I do. I'm happy to do these broadcasts for free. I'm happy to talk about these things because it helps. It helps me. It helps other people. Pot smoking, just real quick. It could help. It could hinder. It all depends on your underlying conditions. I mean, I've never seen a pot smoker get pulled over for speeding, and maybe slowing or reckless driving, but I've never seen a pot smoker get pulled over for speeding. And I don't want to get too much into this because I don't want it to sound like I'm supporting people to go out and smoke dope, but you want to see violence, put a bunch of attorneys in a room smoking dope and a bunch of attorneys in a room drinking liquor, and which room's going to get rowdy first? Chances are it's going to be the liquor room. That's all there is to it. And their attorneys, they go through that PTSD shit just as much as first responders do. So I like this analogy. I brought this up the other day, and it was just kind of like, never even thought about that. But here, let me plug this real quick. I got a perfect lead into that. This right here, black flag. Oh, it's upside down. You got to represent it properly. Black flag, punk rock. Watch out, punk is coming. So what do those have to do with anything? They have everything to do with everything. Listen to a punk rock song and read the lyrics, okay? Most punk rock songs, most punk rock bands are opposed to violence. There are some, hardcore bands out there that want the violence, and the punk rock lifestyle is, stab and mosh and stuff like that. But these are just people trying to get their aggression and their anger out. And a group of people that are trying to get their aggression and anger out, If there's alcohol involved, yes, there's going to be violence. If there's not alcohol involved, there might be violence, but chances are there's not. And the whole concept behind all of this is this: punk rock is anti-political. They're anarchists. They don't want that man bringing them down. They want to express themselves, and they do it in 1 minute and 43 seconds. And they do it because it makes them feel good. And it's fast, it's raw, it's powerful. That's why I like punk rock. Plain and simple. Let's see here. Um, Violent people are a product of our environment. Again, it ties into the parents not being in the home, lack of observation, lack of supervision. Um, there's a song called "The Race." I encourage people to listen to that. I said waited till the end of this video to talk about that because I haven't listened to the whole thing, but it was again brought up in one of our groups that talked about it, and it hypersexualizes females and the gangster rap lifestyle. So if we watch the Kardashians, good quality, wholesome videos, right? They're not role models. There's drama in their lives because they create that drama in their lives to sell more shit. And those people that look up to the Kardashians are not of right mind because they have nothing to offer us of value at all. Okay. And if we watch the Kardashians and we compare it to an episode of Andy Griffith, what purpose, what point, what information are we going to get from the Kardashians that's going to even pale in comparison to an Andy Griffith episode? Don't get me wrong, love Andy Griffith, but there's always a value to the story. Even the Dukes of Hazzard had values to all of their episodes. There was always a story. There was always a value in that. You watch the Kardashians, you're going to see pure crap, filth, pure filth. Zach Wilde's T-shirt, "Kill the Kardashians." That's violence based. That's him being violent, emotional violence. Portrayal of violence. And I'm sure that Khloe Kardashian was like, "Who the hell is Zach Wilde?" Just like Taylor Swift was just like, "Who the hell is Tool?" when she released her new album last week, and Tool took over the charts. Okay, again, not music, but she was not happy about the fact that Tool overtook most of the top 10 on the Apple Store. Okay, so we watch Kardashians and we learn that it's okay to wear Uggs with yoga pants. It's not okay, people. That's one of those trends I wish would burn out. It's terrible. It doesn't make me violent though. It doesn't make me want to kill anybody. Just kick them in the shins and tell them to quit wearing Uggs with spandex pants. Put on blue jeans. Boots don't go with yoga pants. Sorry guys, if you wear Uggs with yoga pants, you're not right in the head. You need psychological help. All right, so let's see here. But what we see is fashion trending. It won't be long, guys, and we'll be back to shorts with combat boots and plaid shirts. It's only a matter of time. I give it a year, and it's going to be a trend again. If it's not already, I don't know. I don't watch TV. I don't watch Kardashians. I don't know what they're dressing like nowadays. But then again, we look at what happened to Tupac. We look at what happened to Biggie. We look at what happened to Chris Cornell. We look at what happened to the lead singer of Linkin Park. Violence towards themselves because of their underlying PTSD. Violence to the family. We don't realize what happens to the family when something of that sort takes place. Okay. Mental health issues are a huge issue. We know that. And a majority of the negativity in this world right now stem from mental health issues. Okay. I've always had a mental health approach to things. I talked to somebody last week or a week before in a grocery store that I used to work with. They got out of EMS. They realized once they got out of EMS that the mental health issues were real. They didn't justify my situation, but they did understand how much that career can play on somebody's mind. So I've said it before. I'll say it every time I talk about first responders or EMS. If you know somebody in EMS, reach out to them regularly. Tell them that you love them. Let them know you care. Let them know that you're there for them if they need it, period. You don't have to say we're going to do an intervention. You don't have to say let's go to an AA meeting or NA meeting with them. You don't have to do any of that. Tell them that you love them. It's imperative. Okay? So now I'm going to wrap this video. It's gone on way longer. I did not anticipate this to be such a long rant, but damn it if I don't think this was a good video. This was extremely important today. There's no place for violence in this world. And if you're experiencing any of that, and I do have friends and I do have viewers that have clicked in tonight that have been victims of violence in the past, not just domestic violence, but violence in general, seek help. Do what you got to do. If you need resources, shoot me a message. I've got plenty of resources. Okay. There's victim advocates out there. There are programs, there are counselors, there are therapists, there are trauma therapists, there are trauma yoga programs, there are trauma based recovery programs. The help is there. Don't feel stigmatized because of the way that you feel about things. There are other people out there that are going through the same shit as you, that want to share their stories, that they want to help you. There are people professionally trained to assist you in that. Reach out, okay? You're not alone. None of us are alone. None of us are alone in any of these videos that I broadcast. This is real shit brought to you by a real person that has real issues and talks about the real deal things. Okay, guys? So, as always, I'm going to close this down by saying this. I love you. Keep going. You all have a good night and stay sober, stay strong, stay focused. Gumball head out. If I can figure out how to shut down. Toodaloo.